Hi everybody, this is Summer with Done Naturally. Welcome. Today, this topic is for my NICU families, particularly my families that have been in the NICU for weeks, sometimes 99 days, 100 days, more. And their question is, when graduation comes, how do I stop pumping and move to exclusive breastfeeding? They're so excited about that moment. They have a love-hate relationship with their pump and they can't wait to toss it and just move to cue-based breastfeeding. How do you do that? Well, it's not all of a sudden. It has to be slowly. And for many NICU families, they're going home on a feeding plan that includes fortified feedings. And that fortification can only be given with a bottle. So as long as those fortified feedings are part of the baby's plan, you need to pump for those fortified feedings so you can add the fortifier and give that to the baby. So with your neonatologist, you will figure out how long those fortified feedings have to last. So no matter what, those particular feedings, whether that's 2 fortified a day, 3, 4, you have to keep those pump sessions in. So what I'm going to talk about is how to get rid of the other pump sessions, the other 6, 4, 5. How do you get rid of those and just breastfeed during those times? Okay, so hopefully you were guided with a lactation consultant that explained to you that during the entire inpatient stay at the NICU, you have to keep pumping. Even during those learning to breastfeed times, you still pump. So technically you're triple feeding the entire NICU stay. You are now working on breastfeeding, you are pumping, and that baby is receiving other milk, typically through an NG tube. Even as that NG tube is removed and they're getting more effective at breastfeeding, you are still pumping after that breastfeeding. You might be getting less. That's totally okay, but you're still doing it. Why are we still doing it? Well, the baby doesn't get discharged until we see proven weight gain. That's one of the criteria of graduation. So we wouldn't want to stop pumping until we know baby is gaining weight. If we stop pumping, assuming the baby's doing okay, and later we find out the baby isn't, we've now risked your milk supply. So you have to keep pumping that entire NICU stay, period. So let's say the day has come. It is graduation and you guys are stoked and you are asking your discharging lactation consultant what to do. So here's what I encourage my families to do. I want you to pump for those fortified feedings because those are missed feedings. Don't change or touch those at all. The other ones, I want you to breastfeed, and after you're breastfeeding, I want you to pump just the same as you did while you were in the NICU. Whatever amount you get, fine. If it's less, who cares? Put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer, store it. I want you to do that for approximately 2 weeks, but the most important part is I want you to do that until we've seen 2 proven weight gains outside of the hospital. So at your pediatrician, at the follow-up clinic, you see 2 weight gains that the baby has continued to gain weight even after graduation from the NICU. What that tells you is that the additional pumping that you've been doing is in excess. The baby doesn't need it. They're doing what we thought they were doing, breastfeeding effectively. And that pumping that you're doing, we don't need anymore. But we don't know that until we've seen 2 proven weight gains. It's not safe to touch those pumps until that time. Then the question is, all right, now we know the baby has gained weight on the outside after the NICU. We're feeling good about breastfeeding. And what do we do now? Those pumps, I want you to slowly stop. Not cold turkey, or else you are going to be very uncomfortable. You could risk getting a plugged duct, mastitis, infection. Blah. None of us want that. So how do you go slow? How you go slow is, we can do it a couple different ways. My 2 favorite ways are, first of all, never making a change before 4 to 5 days. So when we make a change to your pump schedule, we're going to do that for 4 or 5 days, reevaluate, and then make another change. reevaluate after 4 or 5 days, make another change, and keep moving until all of those pumps are eliminated. One of the easiest ways for mothers, because they are used to timing their pump, which can be typically 15 minutes, some mothers will pump for 20, but what I want you to do is reduce your pumping. Instead of, we're going to use 15 minutes as the example, instead of 15 minutes, I want you to pump for 13 or 14, reducing it by 1 or 2 minutes. And you're going to pump for that 13 minutes at every one of those pump sessions for 4 or 5 days. So you are slowly telling your body, we don't need all that milk. All along that 4 or 5 days, you are making sure you're comfortable. You're going to have some discomfort, but we don't want extreme discomfort. If you're noticing extreme discomfort because maybe you are a major milk maker, then you need to slow that down. Maybe you extend it and you're not making changes between, instead of 4 to 5 days, it's 6 days, 7 days. Or maybe you just reduce by a minute instead of 2 minutes. Hand expression is great during this time of adaptation because it doesn't necessarily tell your body to make more milk, but it helps keep you comfortable. So where we're at now is we're pumping for 13 minutes for 4 to 5 days. At the end of that period, you're going to see how you're doing, and then we're going to reduce by another 1 or 2 minutes. So now we're going to pump for 11 minutes at all of your pump sessions. 4 to 5 days of that. After that, reevaluate, move to 9 minutes for all those sessions. After that, 7. After that, 5. After that, 3. After that, 1. And then those pump sessions would be all the way gone. Another way you can do that is by reducing the amount of ounces that you're collecting. This one particularly works good for mothers that get a predictable amount of milk at every session. So if they're getting 4 ounces every time they pump, which is a lot, she might pump until she gets 3.5 ounces. So reducing by 15 ml or a half an ounce every 4 to 5 days. So she would pump for 15 minutes, but she would stop once she gets to 3.5 ounces. She would do that, and maybe it's not 15 minutes. Whenever she gets to the 3.5, she stops. She does that 3.5 ounces for every one of her pump sessions for 4 to 5 days. And then after that time period, she pumps only for 3 ounces, and then 2.5, and then 2, and then 1.5, and then 1, and then half an ounce, and then none. So you can see what we're doing over a long period of time. Typically, it's going to take a minimum of 2 weeks, but likely longer than that. It might take a solid month to reduce those pump sessions. And that's okay. The idea is slow and safe, okay? So it's not going to be an automatic solve, but you'll get there. Now, breastfeeding is just going along swimmingly, and all this milk you're collecting as you're reducing your pump sessions is just being stored. All that milk is just hanging out in your freezer because the baby doesn't need it, and you may very well get to use it much later on. That video is right there where you can learn about the actual milk storage from the CDC and what we talk about as far as expiration. You have a very long time to be able to use breast milk. So what we're doing is creating kind of a buffer safety zone in that 2 weeks after graduation, making sure the baby continues to gain weight just like they did in the NICU that allowed them to graduate. Once we see that, it's safe to reduce those pump sessions. And remember, we're only reducing the pump sessions that don't require fortification. At some point, when fortification doesn't become necessary anymore, or they reduce the amount of fortification the baby needs, you'll do the same thing with that pump session, slowly reducing it as we described and talked about before. Hopefully, this is very helpful. You guys have done an amazing job graduating from the NICU. Yay for you. It's a very stressful time because you're home and you've been very used to having all sorts of monitors and staff around to help you. Very exciting also, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But way to go. Very proud of you. And that's it. I hope you guys have a good day. Give me a thumbs up if you like, and definitely subscribe because I have more for you. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.